Hello. So we are going to talk about the HB 658 bill, or the youth transgender bill that is sitting at Ohio's legal system right now, going to either pass or fail. We've kind of talked about this for a second, and other parents are kind of getting involved. So you are,
Jessica Rankin.
and you are James's mom.
I am.
She done gave birth to the baby.
To the baby boy.
To the baby boy. How did having your son come out as transgender affect you? Like, away from your kids, like on an emotional level?
Honestly,
Yeah.
it didn't bother me.
It didn't?
No, not even for a second.
How did you deal with the fact that me, Jason, and his grandfather dealt with it at first, when we were not supportive and we were bucking against the system and we weren't listening to him as a person and dealing with what he needed instead of our own opinions of it?
It was frustrating.
Yeah.
I honestly did not know how you guys could not support him on it. However, I get the reasoning why you at first this didn't jump in. For me, if he wants to be a boy one day and a girl the next day, I don't really care. I just knew I needed to support him on his decision. I never thought for 1 second that you guys would not come around. I just knew that you needed some time to process everything, to have him prove to you that this is really what he wanted to do. I figured it would be a lot harder on Jason than me, just because that was his baby girl. But yeah, for me personally, it did not faze me for 1 second.
When it comes to society telling you that putting your child on Lupron or in any hormone blocking, that you're drugging and abusing your child, how do you personally feel about that?
Mind your own business.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately...
Oh, and we can't cuss on this channel. We have to make it as
Okay,
absolutely as
I won't.
friendly. Okay.
Just mind your own business. This is something that wasn't decided in one day. It was not taken lightly. We had a few visits with doctors. We did our own research. We made sure that all the information was provided to us that we needed to know. And then we made the educated decision that this would be fine for my child or our child.
Right.
So,
do you struggle with the aftermath of what happened when we were not as accepting and your son wound up in a psychiatric unit because of our lack of acceptance and because of our lack of willing to listen and learn? And you knew that I worked with these kids for years. That was even the biggest shock to you. But as a parent, what was it like seeing and watching your child try to end their life on a bi-weekly basis and then winding up in a psychiatric unit, locked down, not able to go home with you?
it was very, very hard. I will say that that's probably been one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with since having kids. And I was angry, probably at the wrong people, but I was very, very angry. It took me a good while to finally just let go of that anger, because I was the fortunate one that after 7 days I brought my son home. And I know that there's a lot of parents out there that don't get to bring home their child. And so for me to let it fester inside of me, it was just going to hurt me. And in the end, it was going to hurt him, because he knew how I was feeling. So again, I had to put my child first. I purged all that hate and knew that we just needed to work together. We needed to get past this, and we needed to help him get better. And ultimately, that was my number one goal, was to get him better. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted him better.
Right. I mean, because you were single-handedly your child's biggest advocate. I mean, you fought against me. You fought against his grandfather. You fought against Jace. I mean, you were your child from Jump Street's biggest advocate when we were struggling with accepting that decision. So, and you and me personally, as a step parent on my part, and as mom on your part, and me being such an influential side of what had kind of happened to him, we had a lot of animosity. There was a lot of anger and a lot of misunderstanding and hatred. I mean, we struggled a lot as parents.
We did.
This was not an easy decision. I would say for really any of us. There was a lot of issues. So when it comes to now, because you've been out since you were 11, around beginning of 2018. When it comes to the bill up for possible vote now, and tearing your son off of Lupron and ceasing any and all medical treatments for him when it comes to this disorder, where do you personally think that it would affect him and us as a family?
Honestly, I don't even want to think about it, just because I still have that vision in my head of my child laying on the bathroom floor with a razor in his hand. And I ultimately feel in my heart that this will bring up those feelings that again, and that we could go back through the same problem that we had before.
So you feel that this going through and taking and stopping the Lupron, just dead stopping it because of the felony aspect of it, would make your son essentially suicidal, and possibly a danger to himself.
Yep.
Do you think that this will have a mass influence on also the other kids that are in the middle of hormonal treatment, from what you've heard from endocrinologists and everything about the hormones and the the good amount of side effects that come from kids who are on testosterone or estrogen? Do you think it's going to have a massive impact on them?
I believe that you will see suicide attempts and suicide
suicide rates.
Yeah, the suicide rate will skyrocket. What you have to remember is these kids aren't just all hunky-dory when they get their Lupron injection. Mm-hmm. Like, these kids are all going through counseling. Generally, they all have huge body dysphoria issues, and this drug just helps. I know it's not long term, but this drug right now helps them be able to be out in society and be able to do the things that they want to do without not feeling good about who they are. Again, I think ultimately that it should come down to the parents' decision on whether or not they feel that this drug is right for their child. I'm not saying that every person that takes or who wants the Lupron
should be on it.
Right. This is something that needs to be on an individual case-by-case scenario and not group everybody together.
So online, and me personally, even in person, we as parents, or as step parents, you've been called a child abuser and Munchausen's by proxy because you are forcing your child to receive hormones that they don't need. If you had to educate those people, how would you explain the situation and the day-to-day activity that sets the precedence for making that choice and giving your child that hormone? Because we thought about it for almost, like a year.
Yeah, we did. The first thing I want to say is we're not forcing him to take anything. we did not just wake up one day and be like, let's just start giving them, a hormone. Like,
Right.
this, again, like I said before, this was a very educated decision. This was something that, yes, our child came and said, this is what I want to do. We did not make that appointment the very next day and just start injecting him with hormones. Like, it literally took a good probably 7 to 8 months before we felt comfortable at making the decision that we made.
Can you account for how many appointments that we went to with endocrinology before they even considered talking about Lupron?
I think
counseling,
we had
therapy, groups.
Oh, jeez. Well,
because we were going at first for like 3 times a week and everything else.
We're going every single week. I had that child in counseling, and that was, the counselor brought it up that these were our options. Not that we needed to, not that she was forcing us to.
But she was educating.
Yes, she was educating us on how to maybe help him emotionally. Then we had to go see endocrinology. And then we sat down with even a family doctor. And then we went back to endocrinology.
So you had to jump through an astronomical amount of loops
before
this was even a thing.
Yes, this is not something where a parent can wake up, a child can wake up and just be like, today I'm going to start Lupron. It does not work that way.
Because there's a very big common misconception that the Lupron that you're putting him on will stunt his brain development, his growth development, his just his development in general. That it's going to stunt everything. That he could end up with mental health issues.
Okay, so I was going to say, so my child deals with mental health issues right now as it is.
But does he struggle in Does he struggle in school, or is he currently a straight A student?
Oh, well, okay, so that was a whole ordeal also, but we found him the right school, the medicine. Our child is making honor roll, which he never made honor roll.
So because we made him comfortable as a family, he's
thriving
grew emotionally and developmentally.
Absolutely. This child is thriving more now than I have ever seen him. We were in the car the other day and I just looked at him and I said, I'm proud of you. And he looked at me and he's like, why? And I said, well, can't a mother just be proud? I said, but I'm really proud of how far you've come in a year, because we're coming up almost on a year of the last suicide attempt. And just to think back where he was at this time last year to where he is this year is night and day.
Where we could only have butter knives in the house.
Yeah. I mean, everything was locked up. We couldn't trust him alone. So between counseling, appointments, knowing that there was something that he could do to start making himself feel better, and for somebody else to come in and say they cannot do that, again, mind your own business. This is not something that the doctors, that the hospitals, that the parents, that even the child is taking lightly. Like we said, it took us almost 8 months before anybody would decide, yes, you can go ahead and start the Lupron injection. Before then, he had to be out for almost a year before they even began to think about it.
And had to have good mental health, no relapses and self-harm, better grades, had to be making positive strides in growth.
I mean,
a lot.
I know I keep saying it, but this was a very educated decision. This is something that we thought about long and hard. The doctors have thought about long and hard, and we just came to the decision that this was what was best for our child. This is not what is best for your child. This is what is best for our child. And
which is why we always need to treat them on an individual basis and not a group or as a whole, which is what that bill is trying to.
exactly, case by case, child by child, family by family. Even if you need to make the process harder or longer, that's fine. You do what you need to do, but do not take this away from these kids or these families, because ultimately, I don't want to bury my child. I'm just flat out saying. And I'm not saying that that would happen if we stopped the Lupron, but we would have a downward spiral very, very quickly.
We had 4 pretty major suicide attempts in a year and a half. I mean, they were pretty bad. So 2 super main questions for an actual mom who was given birth to a child, because it's different coming from me, because I wasn't birth mom. I've kind of just walked into his life a few years ago. But if you had to explain to parents whose kid was just coming out and they didn't know what to do and they didn't know how to accept this and they were struggling and they didn't want to be labeled as child abusers because they were quote unquote drugging their child, which is the main thing that's being said, what would you tell them to do to try to get through that first couple months of dealing with it?
Okay, so side note, just real fast, that ADHD drugs do more harm to a child than they do help. And this
amphetamine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so are we going to make that a felony too? That's my question. And there's been tests and proof that can alter a child. So Tylenol can alter a child or a human. So are you just going to ban all medicines and not give anybody that chance to make that decision to what they want to do for themselves? What was the question again?
What would you tell a parent on how to deal with those first really
Thrive.
rough, comfortable months, or survive, really?
Thrive. Call Children's and do their Thrive program. It is all based around transgender, LGBTQ, and it's a great learning. We learned a ton of stuff from them, of even things to do and not to do. Just advocate for your child. I know it is very, very difficult for some people. I understand that, but they're human. And if this is what they want to do, aren't we always told to support our children? I'm not saying that we have to 100% be like their cheerleader and all hunky-dory about it, but take the time to talk to your child. Take the time to go and get counseling as a family and as individual, and just talk through things. Get all the medical information that you possibly can. There are so many groups out there that you can attend there for parents and for kids who may be on the fence about it. Do your research. I mean, I know that you're going to get a lot of information thrown at you, but education was huge for all of us. Just don't throw in the towel right away with your child. Try to figure out why they're feeling that way or how to change it. Your feelings on it, not change your child, change your feelings on it, and try to at least accept them for who they really are and not who you want them to be. That's just it. We have narrowed into, in society, has narrowed into what a normal child should look like. And again, each person's different.
But we fought for gay rights for how many years before we had legal gay marriage? I mean, they went through a lot.
And I will say I will fight just as hard for my child in this whole transgender community. on this. This is absolutely 100% ridiculous that you want to take this away from these children. Like I said, make the hoops smaller, make it harder to do it. But I can guarantee you right now that if the doctors and the parents still get this okayed, then just let it be.
If this becomes in law, how you do realize that it is actually part of the law that if you were to take your child out of state to receive treatment or to order drugs online, that you could possibly be slapped with a felony and have your child become a ward of the state. What does that make you feel? Like you're
angry?
It made me feel like I was being put between a rock and a hard place. Like I had to choose between my child staying alive or my stepchild staying alive, and our son choosing to grow breasts and continue to just replummet, trash everything that we worked so hard for, and I can't.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I'm not going to bury my child.
Fuck no. Sorry.
Ultimately, I will do what I need to do to keep my child alive. Mm-hmm. I will fight tooth and nail. I will do what I can. If that means I have a felony, then give me one.
Although we're not incriminating ourselves.
No.
You know, we're not going to do anything
illegal. No. I'm just saying.
We'll never do anything illegal.
I'm just saying that this is a right as a parent to make this decision.
This is a right as a human being.
This is a right for your child to make that decision also. Get all your facts together. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are side effects, possibly.
Not as many side effects
as ADHD drugs.
Mm-hmm.
There are side effects for everything. Haven't you seen the Boys to Men commercial where they sing to you about all the side effects that can take effect?
Or like the NyQuil commercials?
Yeah.
Well, you'll cure your cold, but you won't be able to breathe or poop for the next 6 months.
Right, exactly. Do we need to call in Boys to Men to sing to you to make it sound much better?
I mean, they are cute, though.
They are cute. I saw them in concert. But ultimately, I will do what I need to do to keep my child alive.
100%.
That's it.
Thank you so much as a mommy and as a fellow mom. I appreciate you. I know this is hard for you because it's bothering me too, and we're gonna rally. We're gonna get people together. We're gonna start going to meetings once we find out what those are, and the link to the Ohio Against the HB bill will be linked in the description below so that you can further educate yourself. It'll be the whole bill listing everything and how our doctors will be penalized, our teachers will be penalized for not outing kids, many, many different things, so you can educate yourself. Please do not get news from Facebook or just your basic Google search. Please take the time to actually read the bill itself because it'll bring a lot of things to light. So. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, all for my child. I don't really care.
Yeah, it'll be a long road.
It will be. I'm ready.
Thanks.